Good night, dear students from all over Egypt. Welcome to today's session with the revision for your exam. Today we brought you the concepts, so please be with us. And today with you, Mrs. Amani Shawki Said Badawi, Gharbiya Governorate, Miss Samar Yahya, Alexandria Governorate, and Miss Wafa Hassoub, Sohag Governorate. Hello, Miss Samar.
Hello, Miss Wafa. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm fine. How about you?
I'm fine, alhamdulillah. We are coming very close to the end, and I hope our dear students are ready for the exam, inshallah.
Inshallah. So let's start with them, the concepts.
Actually, the concepts have all the information they need. So, inshallah, it's going to be a very meaty revision.
Okay, go ahead, please, and start with the past.
Yeah, here, dear students, we have got all the past tenses you have already studied. The past simple, the past continuous, the past perfect, and the past perfect continuous. And remember, dear students, when we say past, that means the actions are done, okay? So let's start with the past simple actions which started and finished in the past. For example, she lived in New York for 3 months only. She didn't live in Paris. When I say she lived in New York for 3 months, that means now she is not in New York anymore. Don't forget, dear students, she didn't live in Paris. Actually, this is to show you the difference between the affirmative and the negative. Okay, she lived, negative, she didn't live. My uncle returned from Algeria in 2010. Did you visit the new administrative capital museum a week ago? Now, this is how to form a question in the past simple. Remember, dear students, we use did as an auxiliary verb. My uncle returned. Returned means came back. So he is not there anymore. Did you visit? Remember, dear students, when we use the auxiliary verb did, you have to return the verb to the simple form. So, did you visit? You have to omit the ed, the Administrative Capital Museum, a week ago. A sequence of actions or events. For example, if you are telling a story and you started in the past simple, you're going to continue using the past simple. First mentioned, first happened. Remember, she finished her degree, then moved back to Egypt. So the first mentioned, she finished her degree, and the first happened. Then she moved back to Egypt. Repeated actions and habits in the past. For example, Heba wrote lots of novels during her 30s. She wrote lots of novels. She wrote lots of novels. Kareem didn't like going swimming when he was little. So in the past, when he was little, he didn't like going swimming. This is a past habit. Did you often paint pictures at primary school? Again, we are reviewing with you how to form the negative and how to form the question. Remember the past simple for actions started and finished, repeated actions in the past, or sequence of actions. Here are past habits using used to. Remember used to? Used to plus infinitive, negative, didn't used to plus infinitive. Why do we use used to? To describe situations and regular habits in the past. For example, people used to leave a lot of rubbish on the beach. There didn't used to be sports centers in our town. So people used to leave a lot of rubbish on the beach because actually there didn't used to be sports center in our town. Okay? These are things that used to happen in the past. Now, where do people leave rubbish? Actually, they leave rubbish in specific places, in specific rubbish bins, okay? There didn't used to be sports center. That means now there is or there are sports centers in our town, okay? So when we say used to, that means this action happened in the past. Didn't used to, this action didn't happen in the past. The past and present using the same expression used to. My father used to stay up late when he was young, but now he goes to bed early. So even if I didn't mention now he goes to bed early, you should understand, dear students, that used to stay up, this was in the past. Now he doesn't stay up. Uses of would plus the infinitive. Actually, would plus the infinitive is used also to describe past habits and typical behavior, not to describe past situations, repeated behaviors. Like, for example, in the past, we would go to the seaside, but this summer, we decided to go to the village instead. So usually, each summer, we used to go to the seaside. That's why we used would, because it's a repeated or a typical behavior. Asked my brother to volunteer with me many times, but he wouldn't do it. I always asked him to volunteer with me, and he kept refusing, so he wouldn't do it. It's a repeated action, okay? Now here is the
Allow
past
me, Ms. Summer,
tense.
please, to add something here.
Sure.
Thank you. Okay, dear students, we observed, as Ms. Summer already explained to us, that we can use used to and would to explain or express past habits. So what's the difference? How can we differentiate between would and used to in using it in the past? Actually, using would, we can only use it in the past with action verbs. So we use would with action verbs, not stative verbs. So in the past, we can say, I used to love, I used to know, but we can't ever say, I would love or I would know. Okay, so notice that very carefully. With stative verbs, we don't use would. We use would in the past with action or active verbs only. Okay, you may proceed. Thank you.
Yeah, I think you would continue the past continuous, Mrs. Wafa, because I've already finished the past simple. Would you like to continue the past continuous?
It's okay. Okay, let's continue, dear student, with the past continuous. So when do we use the past continuous? We can use it to speak about action that was in progress at a particular time in the past. So when we have an action in the past that was in progress, we use it with the past continuous. As we have the example here, I was doing my homework at 9 p.m. yesterday. So I spent a lot of time doing my homework. So to express something in the past that was in progress, that took a long time, we use it in the past continuous. So what else? When we can use a past continuous too? We can use it to express an action that was already in progress when another action took place. So please concentrate. If we have an action that was already in progress, that was happening in the past, and another action took place, another action happened, okay, and took place of that action, we express it in the past continuous. Let's see the example to know how to use it. Amira was studying. So Amira was studying in the past, okay, in Cairo when she met her husband, okay, when she met her husband. When or while, this is another example here. When or while I was walking to school, I saw a terrible accident. So Amira was studying when what happened? What the actions that took place? She met her husband. So this is the another action or another actions that took place. And while I was walking to school, what happened while I was walking to school? I saw a terrible accident. So to express an action that was in progress, when another action took place, we use it in the past continuous. Okay, what else? What else that we can use the past continuous in it? To express two actions in progress. Notice, dear friends or dear students, that when we have an action that was already happening in the past and another action took place of this action, Or when we have two actions that was in progress in the past, we express both of them in the past continuous. Okay, so those two actions that were happening in the past, they were happening at the same time. How can we express that? Look at the example here. While I was listening to the lecture, so what was happening while I was listening to the lecture? I was making notes, and we all do that. When we were listening to the teacher, we used to take notes. Okay, we used to speak to our friend in front of us or beside you. Okay, but please take an important note here. Use during, not while, before a noun. Okay, so don't use while before a noun. Use during instead of it. Like we have here, I met two of my old friends. Not while. Don't say while, but you say during the party. I met two of my old friends during the party. Okay, let's continue. Yes, Miss Summer, go with the past perfect simple.
Now here comes the past perfect simple. Actually, the past perfect simple is one of the easiest tenses because you will never actually confuse it in the exam. For actions or events which happened and ended at an earlier time than event in the past. For example, dear students, if you have two actions in the past, one happened before the other. So the first action should be the past perfect, even if it was not the first sentence. Remember, we often use it with adverbs and time expressions like after, before, once, when, until, already, etc. For example, I had finished all my homework, so I decided to play tennis. Remember, dear students, you have here had finished. That means the first action happened is had finished. Then you decided to play tennis. If I say I decided to play tennis after I had finished my homework, you still understand the past perfect happened first. When the journalist arrived to do the interview, the player had already left. So, did the journalist see the interviewer? I don't think so because the player had already left. Once I had read the book, I understood what she had achieved. So first, I read the book. Then I understood what she had achieved. Of course, she had achieved all this before I read the book. I hope it's clear to you. We didn't hear about the earthquake until we had read the newspaper. So during the earthquake, actually, I didn't feel it, okay? But I heard in the newspaper. So first, I didn't hear about the earthquake until we had read the newspaper. So we had read the newspaper first, then we realized there was an earthquake. I had no sooner remembered his phone number, then I decided to contact. So what happened first? Of course, I remembered the phone number first, then I decided to contact him. Had Hatem arrived before the match started? This is to remind you how to make a question. It's very easy. And instead of saying Hatem had arrived, this is a statement. To make it a question, you say, had Hatem arrived before the match started? My father was angry because I hadn't followed his advice. So I didn't follow my father's advice, so that made him angry. Okay? Notice, dear students, use the infinitive plus ing before after if there is no subject. Remember, dear students, after, before are prepositions if you don't have a subject. Example, you say after I had finished. Imagine I don't have the subject. So I say after finishing. So after here will be a preposition, not a conjunction. before going home. But if I say before you say before I went home, I had bought some bread. But once we don't have a subject, so before going home, I had bought some bread. I hope it is clear. Now, Mrs. Wafa will continue with you the past perfect continuous. The past perfect continuous, dear students, actually, the usage of the past perfect is the same as the past perfect continuous. But what we mean by the past perfect continuous, the action took some time. Remember, dear students, we always use the continuous to stress the time. She had been waiting for a long time when I arrived. Why didn't I say she had waited for a long time? Because I want you to know that she had been waiting for a long time. I stress the idea of the time here. But still, she had been waiting first, then I arrived. Okay, so where is the first action here? She had been waiting. Let's go to the second example to see how to make a question. Had you been watching TV when that stranger knocked on the door? You know what's to knock? That's to knock. Had you been waiting for a long time when I arrived? Again, this is to remind you how to make a question. Again, the uses of the past perfect continuous to emphasize that the activity had been continuing for some time before another action in the past. Compare these two statements. I studied before I went to bed. Or I had been studying for 2 hours before I went to bed. What am I doing here? I had been studying. I am stressing the time. It took me a lot of time to do what? To study. When I say I studied before I went to bed, remember, first mentioned, first happened, because both of them are past simple. So I studied first, then I went to bed. To talk about how long something had been happening. For example, she had been studying for 4 hours. I have given you the time here, the duration. For 4 hours when the computer broke down. You know what's to break down? To stop working. Note, don't use the past perfect continuous when you use sense verbs or say how many times you did. Reported actions. For example, I had sent 10 emails before I left the office. You cannot say I had been sending because you have what here? You have a number, 10 emails. They had known each other for 10 years before they became partners. Again, they had known. Do you remember the verbs of the mind and the verbs of the heart? For example, think, understand, know. You cannot say I had been knowing. You have to say I had known. You cannot say I had been loving. You have to say I had loved. All the verbs related to your mind or related to your heart, never use them in the continuous. Now here are some quizzes. Are we going to do the quizzes or we are going to do them later? Maybe Mrs. Wafa, and shall we continue the explanation?
We can have at least 3 or 4 of them, Miss Summer, just to illustrate the idea of our explanation.
That's a good idea.
Okay, let me have it here. Just cancel. And so after each grammar, we brought you a quiz, we brought you a form or something like that to illustrate the idea, to test yourself about have you understood it or not. So play with us with the grammar. Okay. Okay, so starting here, space visited Australia. Have you ever visited Australia or did you ever visit Australia? What do you think, Miss Summer, is the correct answer?
Have you ever?
Of course, wonderful, right question, or right answer for you. Have you ever? Exactly.
Because usually with the past simple, we have to give a definite time, Mrs. Wafa. There was no definite time here.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Now let's go to number 2. Space your cell phone. Have you found your cell phone? What do you think, Miss Wafa?
I think, have you found your cell phone?
Well done, Miss Wafa. Very good.
Thank you. Okay, shall we continue our concepts or continue the quiz?
I think the quiz is very interesting, but it's better to continue the explanation and leave the game for our dear students.
Yes, we will send you the links in the meeting, inshallah, in the chat box to answer all the quizzes that we brought you. Okay, so let's move to, what do we have here? Oh yes, the present tenses. So we have the present simple, present continuous, present perfect, and present perfect continuous. So let's start with the present and how can we have it in our sentences. Uses of the present simple. When do we use the present simple, dear students? For actions, facts, or for situations that are always or usually true. So if we have an action that's usually true, we use it, and also for facts and actions, we use it in the present simple. Like we already know, the moon orbits the earth. So this is a fact. This is a scientific fact. So we express it in the present simple. And all the scientific facts, by the way, we use it in the present simple. We live in the center of Cairo. So this is a fact for me, for my life. Okay, this is a situation that's usually true for me. So I express it in the present simple. We live in the center of Cairo. What else to express? We use the present simple to express it. We use it for habits and repeated action. Is it in the past? Is it in the past? Of course, no. To express habits and repeated actions, but in the present. So to express habits and repeated actions in the past, we use would plus infinitive, or we use used to plus infinitive. But in the present, we use habits and repeated actions.
We have got here for habits and repeated actions. Children often help their parents and grandparents to do things, okay? Usually this is again a habit. Frequency adverbs. Use frequency adverbs with the present simple to say how often something happens. Here are some frequent, very common frequent adverbs. You've got never, sometimes, often, usually, and always. Remember, dear students, these adverbs are only to help you, but you already understand when to use the present simple even if you don't see them. For example, as Mrs. Wafa says, for facts. For example, when I say he is a banker, this is a fact. So even if I don't see sometimes, often, usually, always, I still understand. I'm going to use the present simple. Frequency adverbs are usually before present simple verbs. This is very important. Where to put them in a sentence? Before the action verb. We always help our parents. Help here is the verb, so always is used before the verb. But sometimes we use them after a verb. It's coming to you after verb to be. Frequency adverbs come after verb to be. You don't say it usually is. You say it is usually sunny in my country. So we use the present simple after time conjunctions to express future. For example, after Jack reaches London, he will send us an email. So he will reach London first, then he will send us an email. Both the present simple, have or has, plus the past participle and the present perfect continuous. Are we in the present perfect now? Both the present perfect simple, have or has, and the present perfect continuous, have or has plus been plus verb ing are used to talk about actions or situations which started in the past and are still connected to the present. How can we use them connected to the present? For example, when I say, I have lost my key. This is a past action. So why did I use the present perfect? Because I cannot open the door. So the past here is connected to the present. That's why I said, I have lost my key. So the actions are either still happening, or they are finished short time ago, or they have a direct effect to the present. So let's continue with the present continuous. The present continuous here, we use the present continuous. Of course, we remind you of the form. Am is are plus the past plus ing, verb ing. To describe a temporary situation that is happening now. Like when I say, I am staying in Paris for 6 months in January. Actually, this example is perfect because we don't mean this moment. We mean this time. During this 6 months, I am staying in Paris. But actually, this is not going to last forever. As it is written by Mrs. Wafa, it is temporary. Okay? To describe a current situation which is different to a past situation, because actually I don't live in Paris. I'm just staying here for 6 months for a specific purpose. Young people aren't talking to each other on the phone these days. Very good. Maybe they are online all the time, so they chat on the internet. So we also use the present continuous to describe an action happening at a specific time in the future. Oh, can we use it for the future, miss? Of course, you can use it for the future, if it is future arrangement. You are sure it's gonna happen. For example, we are traveling to London tomorrow. Are you going to travel there without a travel ticket? Of course you have a ticket. So you are sure that you are traveling tomorrow, inshallah. So we are traveling to London tomorrow. We have got our visas and booked the tickets. Very good. These are the arrangements you made in order to travel. To describe an action that people do again and again. Why is he always making so much noise? He will never stop. He is making noise all the time. So it's a repeated action. So all these things we use for the present, past, present continuous to talk about now, or to talk about this time, or to talk about arrangements in the future, or to describe actions that are done again and again. I hope you are already trying to remember, dear students, how to use these tenses correctly. Now here are the stative verbs. Are you ready to continue, Mrs. Wafa, or not yet?
No, sorry for that. Continue, please. When the adhan finish, I'll tell you, Miss Summer. Go ahead,
Okay.
please.
Now let's continue with the stative verbs. Uses of stative verbs for thoughts, opinions, think, know, mean, imagine, and believe. Do you remember, dear students, when I told you all the verbs related to the mind and to the heart? Actually, these are the stative verbs. So why do we use them? I think Alexandria is a beautiful city. I think. This is my opinion. I can say I think, I can say I believe, or I can say I imagine. Alexandria is a beautiful city. For feelings and emotions like love, like, miss, wish, or want. We miss our parents when we are far away from them. Of course, everybody misses their parents. To describe how you see the world, for example, hear, see, look, smell, taste. Do you remember all these sense verbs? The chicken smells delicious. The chicken smells delicious. For positions and measurements, you know positions, you know what's to possess, to have, to own, belong, have, measure, weigh. That pencil belongs to me. It belongs to me means it's mine. Can you give it back to me, please? We cannot use stative verbs in the continuous form. Remember, dear students, We never say I'm wanting. For example, even if you want something now, I say I want to study abroad when I am older. You never say I'm wanting to study abroad when I am older. Okay? So the stative verbs actually are never used in the continuous. Note here, some verbs can refer to states or actions depending on a context. For example, I enjoy living in Barcelona, Spain. This is permanent situation. This is always true. I'm enjoying, you cannot say I'm enjoying my holiday in Barcelona. So, for example, describes an action. This is how I'm feeling or I'm behaving. You say I enjoy. You never say I'm enjoying. What do you think I should wear tomorrow? What's your opinion? I'm thinking about spending my holiday. So I'm thinking here, this is present continuous because here you are considering, you are giving your opinion. It's not related to only your mind, I think. I'm thinking about spending my holiday in the village. So think here means consider, means here consider. Here comes the present perfect simple. Remember the present perfect? Have or has plus the past participle. Why do you use the present perfect simple? To focus, the focus is on the result of an action in the present. Example, I've worked here for a long time, so I can show what to do. Remember we said the present perfect actually is past connected to the present? So here I have experience in the place, so I can show you everything. The action is to work, and the present perfect simple is used to focus on the result of working in the present, which that is present, which is that this person can show someone else how to do something. Actions that have results in the present. He is happy that he has scored a goal in the match. So the action is finished, scoring the goal, but it still makes him happy. So there is a connection again between the past and the present. This is the present perfect tense. Now use also the present perfect tense for actions that started in the past and still continue. Example, I've started French classes. That means I didn't finish and I'm still going to them. We have done a lot of work today. That means we are still doing what? We are still working. So the action is unfinished. And also there is another usage here. Experiences often, ever and never. Do you remember the quiz? Have you ever been to Australia? Have you ever interviewed a famous person? I have never been on a plane. That means I have never gone through this experience before. So when I ask you about a specific experience, I usually use the present perfect if you have done this experience or not. Actions which haven't happened, often with still or yet. For example, they haven't developed a treatment yet. So the action didn't happen yet. They haven't developed a treatment yet. Salma still hasn't won a professional match. So this experience actually never happened until now. So remember the difference between since and for. This is a favorite question in the exam. Take care. Both of them are used, since and for, with the present perfect. But she's played football since she was 5. Since her childhood. Remember, after since we use a point of time. I have lived abroad for 5 years. So, for 5 years means, for example, since 2018, for example. So what we use after for, dear students, we use a period of time, a duration of time. We have a number here, 5 years. It's years since we last met. That means we haven't met for years. Do you remember the expression, I haven't seen you for ages? That means I haven't seen you for a long time. Since 3 o'clock or for 2 hours. It's the same meaning, but after since we use a point of time and after for we use a duration of time.
Let's continue, dear students, with the present perfect together, okay? When to use the present perfect simple again? When we use the present perfect simple, we don't say when an action happened. We don't say when does it happen, okay? But we can say how long an action that's still happening has happened, okay? So we are not talking about when an action happened, but we are talking about how long have this action have been happening. How long did it take? Did it take a long time? Has it spent many years to happen? Something like that, okay? Like the example we are having here, since 2018 or for 5 years. So we are talking here about the period of time that this action, okay, has happened. We are talking about the period of time, but not specifically when the action happened. Not specifically, but a point in the time. Since 2022, since or for 3 years, for 5 days, and so on. Okay. What else? You can't use the verb to be and other verbs like know in the present perfect continuous tense. We insist on telling you, dear students, that with the continuous, we can't use things like know, like, love, and these stative verbs, okay? We can't use stative verbs in the continuous form. So here, insist on confirming this information for you. You can't use them in the continuous form. So, we say, I have known him, but not I have been knowing him. This is a mistake. Don't say that or don't use it in the exam, okay? You say, I have known him, I've liked him, and so on. But not I have been liking him or I have been knowing him. This is a mistake. Okay, let's proceed with the present perfect continuous. Of course, we mentioned something here related to the present perfect continuous. Okay, when to use the present perfect continuous in your speech? The focus will be on the activity itself, okay? And this is usually an activity that someone has been doing either all the time or regularly for a specific period of time. So please concentrate that the continuous in the past or in the present or in the present perfect related to the period of time that the action is happening or happened. So when we talk about continuous, that means that the action took a longer time than any other action, okay, than any other tense. The present perfect tense, dear student, is usually an activity that someone has been doing. Maybe all the time that he took a very long time to do this action, or for a period of time. Let's see it, okay? For an example, we have here, we have been interviewing a lot of people about their experience. So they took a long time, okay, or a lot of time interviewing a lot of people about their experiences, okay. Muhammad has been doing some research in that area. We also use time expressions with since or for to say how long an action has been occurring or has been happening. So we can use since or for to express the present perfect continuous. Okay, like the example here, I have been working on this project since January, so it took long time for me to do this to do this project, maybe 3 months or 4 months, and so on. So to express a long time of period, we use the continuous form of a tense. When to use the present perfect continuous too? We use it to focus on the reason of something that happened in the past. So if we have an incident or something that happened in the past and I want to say, why did this thing happen? I want to say the reason. So express the reason in the present perfect continuous. Let's see the example to understand this idea. He is tired. Oh, why is he tired? Because he has been working all the day. So we express the reason that why is he tired? Why is he tired? Because he has been working all day. Okay, she's crying or she was crying. Why she was crying? Because she had been losing her activity, or she has been losing, she has been crying about her husband or her the death of something related to her. So to express the reason for something that happened in the past, we express it in the in the present perfect. We express it in the present perfect continuous. Okay. We brought you a quiz to just check your understanding about all the present tenses at once. So concentrate, please, and try to answer with us this word well quiz. So let's see it together. Check your understanding. Have you understood what we explained or not? Present tenses. Yes, Miss Summer, please.
Many birds of Europe are flying, flies, or has flown south to Africa in winter. Remember, it's a fact here. So many birds of Europe are flying, flies, has flown south to Africa in winter. What do you think, Miss Wafa?
I think we should use the present simple, of course. It's fly.
Flies. Very good. You have chosen the correct word because birds is plural. We cannot use flies.
Plural, of course. So we can't use flies here. Yes. Okay. Submit answer.
Well done.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Summer. Okay. The weather space very cold on Moscow in the winter. So the weather is getting very cold, has got very cold, get very cold, or gets very cold. So this is the weather. So this is scientific facts. And Moscow is freezing there. So what do you think, Miss Summer?
I think you are very kind-hearted and you have already given the answer. So the weather actually gets very cold in Moscow in winter.
Well, let me ask you, why didn't you choose get? It's in the present too.
The weather is singular, so I have to use the third singular S, gets.
Perfect. Wonderful, Miss Summer. Perfect. After 6 days of rain, I'm glad that the sun stays again today. So the sun is shining, is shines, or is shining. So I'm glad, okay, that the sun again today. So this is something related to the present, and it's taking, of course, it's a sun. So does it take a short time to shine or takes a longer time to shine? What do you think, Miss Summer?
I think is shining is the correct.
Perfect.
It's gonna be temporary in winter.
Yes, exactly. So nice answer. You are a wonderful teacher and a great student too.
Perfect. I actually follow your advice very well.
Thank you.
Shall we continue the explanation or shall we continue the quiz?
Okay, I want to end with your voice this quiz and continue the concepts, of course.
Okay, let's start. Don't forget to take your umbrella. It raining, has been raining, rains, is raining outside. I want you to take the umbrella. So what do you think, Ms. Wafa?
Of course, it's raining. It's raining outside. Yes.
Very good.
Thank you. Okay. So now you may proceed with the future tenses, Ms. Summer.
Yeah, now let's start future tenses together, dear students? We have got the present perfect or future use. Do you remember, dear students, when we said we use already the present perfect to talk about the future? In clauses with the after, once, and when, we normally use the present simple to talk about the future, okay? Example, when I finish my studies, I will go and live abroad. Do you remember all the conditional sentences? We have to use will, and when here works like if. So when I finish my studies, I will go abroad. Sometimes, however, we use the present perfect. Example, once I have done the research, I will write the report. Remember, dear students, even if you forget the rule, you never use the past with the present or the past with will. For example, once you have will here and you have many choices, you have to use the present perfect. If you don't have the present simple, remember, once I have done the research, I will write the report. After she has finished. Of course, the apostrophe S here means has, because you have past participle here. So after she's finished her degree, she will get a job as a lawyer. The airport will open again when we have moved the phone, when we have moved the plane. Okay, will open, have moved. There are some common mistakes here. When I'll go there, I'll let you know. Can we use will in both sentences? No, we can't say when I go there or when I have got there. I will let you know. Okay? I'll keep researching until I'll discover a cure. No, I will keep researching until I have discovered a cure. I think Mrs. Wafa will continue with you.
Okay, so talking about the future, how can we talk about the future with our English tenses? Use the future simple. So we start with the future simple, will or want, and of course, will or want with the infinitive for. For what? Predictions with no evidence. Remember, with no evidence, because if we have a prediction with evidence, we used to use going to. Okay, what else to use the future simple with? With quick decisions, with offers, requests, and future facts. So if we have any of these things or any of these elements, we directly use the future simple. In 10 years' time, the world won't be very different. So this is a prediction without no evidence or with no evidence here. Okay? The phone is ringing. The phone is ringing. I'll open it. Okay? Or I'll answer it. So this is a quick decision. Oh, this is a heavy bag for you. I will help you or I'll carry it for you. So this is an offer. Okay? And of course, future facts. So to express any of these elements, predictions with no evidence, quick decisions, offers, or requests, and future facts, we use the future simple. Let's look or have a look here to this question. Will you finish the article by the end of the day? This is the question. Will you finish the article by the end of the day? We will see more and more robots in shops in the next few years. It's hot. So this is another action, another example here. This is a prediction, by the way. It's hot. It's hot. I'll turn on the fan. So this is a quick decision, dear students. It's hot. I'll turn on the fan. Don't worry. I'll help you clean up this mess. So this is an offer. I offer my help to her or to him. I'll help you clean up this mess. Okay, what about future continuous? We knew how to use the future simple, but what about the future continuous? How can we form it first? Well, the future continuous is will or want plus be plus ing form. We use the future continuous for events that will be happening, and notice that actions or events that will be happening at a certain time in the future. Okay, we use the future continuous to express that. Let's have a look to the example here. This time next year, I'll be living in Spain. Okay, so these are, or this is an event that will happen or will be happening in a certain time. Okay, why we used a certain time here? To express it in the near future, like we have here, this time next year. So this is a certain time in the future. I'll be living in Spain. Let's continue the examples. Will you be studying this evening? So this is the period of time. Concentrate, please. Will you be studying this evening? Another example we have here, I won't be going to the school next week. I won't be going to the school next week. I'm on sick leave. Okay? When to use the future perfect now? So this is not a future continuous. It's a future perfect. Oh, can we use the perfect to express the future? Yes, we can. Let's have a look to the form of the future perfect first. We use it with will, want, plus have, plus past participle. Plus past participle. Okay, how can we use it, or when do we use it? For actions that will or won't, concentrate, that will or won't be completed before a specific time in the future. So it may or may not be completed before a certain time in the future. Look to this example. Before the end of this century, what will happen? They will have found life on other planets. So this may or may not happen. We don't know. That's why we mentioned it in the future perfect. So we use the future perfect to talk about things that may or may not be completed before a specific time in the future. Okay, let's have a look here. Will they have found a cure by 2040? Will they have found a cure by 2040? So this is how to form a question. We use will, okay, and of course have plus past participle. Let's check it or our understanding with this example. I won't have finished typing the report. I won't have finished typing the report by the time. So don't forget to mention the specific time, please, in the future. By the time you get here. So by the time you get here, okay, I won't be finished typing. I won't be ending it. So I'll be still writing or typing the report. Okay, so concentrate, please. We have here a small quiz for you, like we already do with you. Miss Summer? Okay, go ahead and start, please.
Yeah, let's start number 1 together. The film space before we get back home. Will have finished, will have been finishing, will finish, will be finishing. What do you think, Miss Wafa? Before we get back home.
Well, yes. Oh, I think it will be here. We'll have finished. We'll have finished before we get back. Thank you.
Yeah, correct.
Wow, nice bonuses we took. Great. Okay, so we have here a conversation between A and B. So A is saying, space, me with my laptop. B is saying, sure, what's the problem? So what do you think the question will be? Will you have helped? Will you have been helping? Will you help or will you be helping?
Will you be helping? Or will have helped? What do you think? I got confused. Would you please explain that, Miss Wafa? Space, me with my laptop. That means I have a problem now with my laptop. Sure, what's the problem? So that means, will you have help? Will you have been helping? Will you help? This is a question, yes. Dear students.
Will you help? Of course. Yes, Miss Summer. Yes, Miss Summer. Sorry, I got disturbed by my kids. Sorry for that. Okay, so the answer will be, Thank you. Okay. Will you help me with my laptop? Will you help me with my laptop? So this is just a request. Do you remember, dear students, when we told you that we with requests we use will plus the infinitive. We use the future simple. So we use here, will you help me with my laptop? This is a request, of course. Okay, so let's continue our concepts. Yes, let's close them. Oh yes, phrasal verbs. Go ahead, Ms. Summer, please.
Oh my God, phrasal verbs. A lot of people actually suffer from phrasal verbs because they are maybe a bit many. But don't worry, dear students. The more you practice, the better you become. Now, what do we mean by phrasal verbs? Phrasal verbs are verbs which consist of a verb followed by one or two prepositions, okay? The combination of the verb and the preposition in a phrasal verb creates a new meaning, which is different than the meaning of the verb that prepositions on their own. For example, look has a meaning to mean look, using your eyes. And for has a meaning, for example, we use for a duration of time. But if we use look for as a phrasal verb, what does it mean? We say, I'm looking for my pencil. I can't find it. So means here search or search for. So this is the idea of the phrasal verb. The verb plus the preposition has a specific meaning. We have got two kinds of phrasal verbs, separable and inseparable. What do we mean by separable? Separable means the verb and the preposition in some phrasal verbs are always separated by a noun. They are called separable phrasal verbs. Like, for example, the noun comes in the middle. Turn up. You can say, can you turn the sound up? I can't hear it. Once you separate the verb from the preposition, so it's a separable phrasal verb. Would you please switch on the fan or switch the fan on? Okay. What about if the phrasal verb is inseparable? The verb and the preposition in some phrasal verbs are never separated. Never separated, like look for example, I'm looking for my pen. Can you say I'm looking my pen for? Of course not. Look into. Let's look into other ways of having a virtual meeting. To look into here means to try to find new ideas. And look into also means investigate for the police. Catch up. I need to catch up with my homework this evening. I need to finish. So you cannot say catch my homework up. You have to say catch up with my homework. In some phrasal verbs, the verb and prepositions can be either separated by a noun or cannot be separated. Example, turn off. You can say, can you turn your camera off? Or can you turn off your camera? Both are correct. But with some phrasal verbs, the meaning is different when the verb and prepositions are separated. Can you imagine that? If you don't separate them, they have a meaning, and if you separate them, they have another meaning. Example, from when they aren't separated by a noun. Pick up. Look at this one. I can still pick up my little sister. What is to pick up my little sister? To physically move someone or something upward. You need to take her from the ground. Like when I say, please pick up the pencil. We are going to pick my hand up. Look at this word, pick my hand up. So are we going to take my hand from the floor, for example? No. That means here we are going to collect our aunt. We are going to go to the airport and bring her home to meet someone somewhere and then take them with you to another place. There is another meaning to say that, collect. I'm going to collect the children from school. Verb patterns with gerund and infinitive. Do you remember this lesson, dear students? It was not an easy one. Some verbs are followed by gerund and some verbs are followed by verb to plus infinitive. When two verbs are used together, the second verb is either in the gerund or verb, gerund means verb plus ing, don't forget, or infinitive, to plus the present participle. For example, verbs that always follow by infinitive. Decide, encourage, need, seem, try, want, arrange, agree, hope, expect, plan, offer, and learn. These verbs are followed by to plus the infinitive. For example, we decided to work. Can you say we decided working? No, it will be totally wrong. We decided to work on the project together. The book seems to be back in the library now. Can you say the book seems being? No, seems to be. What about the verbs that are followed by gerund, like avoid, enjoy, finish, miss, recommend, admit, deny, dislike, practice, risk, consider, or suggest? For example, we will continue looking for, excuse me, I was just writing the verbs with the gerund. I enjoy watching the films. We avoid looking at our phone. Look at this one. There are verbs that can be followed by both. Can you imagine that? Both. Gerund, either gerund or to plus infinitive. For example, continue, hate, like, and start. You can say we will continue looking or we continue to look. Both are correct and both have the same meaning. We will continue looking for the photos until we find them, or we will continue to look for the photos until we find them. Some verbs can be followed by either gerund or infinitive, but the meaning changes. Don't forget that. According to the verb, from when I run, I need to stop to take a break for 15 minutes, to stop doing an activity in order to make another activity. Look at this one. Let's stop thinking of ideas now and start making a plan here to stop doing an activity. So when you need to stop to take a break or to stop thinking about something. Please remember, you remember the questions we brought you and it was confusing because you didn't review this rule? Please remember to bring your digital camera tomorrow. That means the action didn't happen yet. Don't forget to bring the camera. But when I say, I remember bringing the camera, what does this mean? That means I've already brought the camera. I remember meeting this man last year. Look at this, last year. So the gerund means the action has already happened. I saw this man last year, and when I saw him again, I remembered. Like when I say, I regret wasting all money. That means I wasted my money or I didn't waste my money? No, I already wasted my money. We regret to inform you that you have not been accepted for the job. We regret to inform you here means we are sorry to tell you that you were not accepted in the job. Try making this medicine for your headache. It's very good. Try something as an experiment to see if it works or not. Try taking this medicine. But when I say I'm trying to learn Chinese, but it's very difficult, what does the 2 plus infinitive means here? It means that something is difficult, but you make an effort to do it. Okay? I hope it is clear. And sometimes the gerund and the infinitive does not have the same meaning.
Okay, we have to finish our session for this part of our concepts, and we have another session for you, dear students, to continue and proceed the explanation of the concepts. So wait for us, inshallah, and see you next time. Thank you.